Coach Prime is teaming up with Morehouse to host a football camp in Atlanta. This will be the second reported football camp between Coach Prime and an HBCU to get into that Southern talent, to try to get an influx of some of that Southern talent to come out to Boulder to play for him in Colorado. Let's talk about it after the bumper. Stay tuned. What's good, good people? What is good, good people? My name is Jeff Lightsy Jr. This is the Victory Formation Sports Show right here on Jeff Lightsy Jr. YouTube, Facebook, wherever you get your content. Do me a favor, hit that thumbs up button as you come into the room. Come on in, because we're talking about a football camp that'll be held on the campus of Morehouse that'll involve Morehouse, the HBCU, and none other than Deion Sanders. Now, this was tweeted out by HBCU Premier Sports, HBCU Sports 1 on Twitter. With 44,000 followers. Wow. Ooh, it's a big platform. And this is what they put. They were the first people I seen put this out. It says, the Morehouse Coach Prime Football Camp, June 13th, in Morehouse College in Atlanta, Georgia. Camps are open to any and all, only limited by age, grade level, or gender. As you see, you got Morehouse coach next to Deion Sanders, the coach of the Colorado Buffaloes. And this is the second reported football camp collaboration between an HBCU and none other than Deion Sanders. The first one was announced about a week ago with the Coach Prime Mega Camp at Prairie View with Bubba McDowell. And now we have the Coach Prime collaboration football camp with Morehouse. Now, some of you are thinking, why would an HBCU work with Deion Sanders? Why would an HBCU do anything to help Deion Sanders? Well, there's a couple of reasons why you do this. One, let's talk about why the HBCUs would do it. Prairie View and Morehouse, in all surrounding HBCUs that will, because it won't just be Morehouse and Colorado represented. As we saw from the Prairie View camp, you saw Jackson State, you saw Grambling, you saw Alabama State, you saw Alcorn, you saw a bunch of HBCUs from the SWAC that will be in attendance at that camp. All the coaches and all the parties involved are trying to get an influx of talent, or trying to be able to land potential talent from that area. Because it won't just be college coaches at these camps. There will also be high school coaches. And you make connections and you make good relationships. You forge good relationships with the high school coaches in that area, along with the potential prospects. And so Prime is doing it because there's no talent in Colorado. Let's be honest. There is no talent per capita in the state of Colorado. So from Colorado, most of their talent in years past have been from California. It's a ton of talent in California. There's some talent in Nevada, a ton in California, a little bit in the Pacific Northwest and Washington State and Oregon, and there's some guys up there. But all the football talent in the world is in the South. And so think about the two places that he is with, the schools and the areas that he's collaborating with. Prairie View, which is in Texas, which is like a suburb of Houston, but it's in Texas. And now Morehouse, which is in Atlanta, which is one of the biggest hotbeds in this whole entire country. The state of Georgia produces per capita some of the best football players in the country. And so he has to, being at Colorado, find a way to convince young men and their families from the state of Texas, from the state of Georgia, from the state of Florida, from the state of Louisiana and Alabama and Mississippi, and give them a reason and convince them and let them know that it will be a good opportunity for them to leave their home states to come play for him all the way across the country in Boulder, Colorado, where it snows in April, right? So that is why he's doing this. And then to add an extra flair, a little spin to it, yeah, he could do a camp with Georgia Tech, or he could do a camp with Georgia Southern. They're both in Atlanta. Or he could do a camp. Hell, he could probably use the Falcon Stadium. He was a legend in Atlanta with the Falcons. But it adds to his, feng shui, makes him look a lot better when you team up with the Morehouse, which is an HBCU. Say, hey, look, guys, ignore all the things that I said on the way out the door at Jackson State about black colleges and stuff. I'm teaming up with black colleges. The same with Prairie View. He could use some form of the Star with the Dallas Cowboys, their practice facility in Fort Worth, Texas. He could use some other place in Texas. He lived in Dallas for a year. He still lives in Dallas. He has a mansion in Dallas or in the Dallas suburb. But instead, you use Prairie View because, once again, you show that, hey, no matter what the people say about me, no matter what I actually said, I still have good relationships with HBCUs. And the Morehouse and Prairie View reason in it is because there is going to be an influx of talent and a bunch of players that you may or may not have gotten a chance to talk to if you weren't hosting a football camp with Deion Sanders. And not just them, all the other SWAC schools and HBCU schools that are involved. Now, of course, I know there's some people that don't feel like you should be doing any kind of business with Deion Sanders, that black colleges should be doing any kind of business with Deion Sanders because of the things that he said on his way out the door. I say, man, business is business, man. If you can land a player that you may or may not have gotten a chance to make a connection with, if you can talk to a coach, a high school coach, that you may or may not have been able to make a connection with because of these camps, you got to do it. You got to do it. The reward way outweighs the risk. The reward way outweighs the risk. And so that is why if I'm Jackson State, I'm going to be at this camp. If I'm FAMU, I'm going to be at this camp. If I'm Grambling, if I'm Prairie View, I'm going to be at this camp because I need to plant my flag in the city of Atlanta. I need to plant my flag in the state of Georgia. I need to plant my flag and let them know, hey, we're still JSU. Hey, we're still Grambling. And we still play football here too. Because he can't take everybody to Colorado. Everybody's not going to Boulder. Everybody is too far for some people. It's too cold for some people. And Prime may not feel like some folks are good enough to be there. It just is what it is. But there are going to be a ton of really, really good football players, both at this camp and at the camp in Prairie View. So why not do it? The reward outweighs the risk 1,000 times over. You got to make yourself available. If you want to get some of the biggest and best players, you got to take yourself where they're going to be at. And a lot of them are in Georgia. A whole lot of them's in Texas. So you got to be there. You got to meet them there and go let them know what your staff, your team, your program is about. So I get it. It makes a ton of sense. And it makes a ton of sense why Deion Sanders would do it. There's no talent in Colorado. So I got to, just like the HBCUs got to go meet the players where they're at, Colorado and their staff, they got to go meet the players where they're at. And a whole lot of them, most of them, 90% of the best ones are right there in the southern states. They're in the Texas. They're in Alabamas. They're in the Louisianas. They're in the Georgias. They're in the Floridas. Got to go meet them where they're at. And that makes a ton of sense. And kids will travel. And that's the thing. In Atlanta, kids will travel from Ohio to Atlanta. Kids will travel from Kentucky to Atlanta. Kids will travel from Indiana to Atlanta. Kids will travel from the Carolinas to Atlanta if they think they can get a chance to land a scholarship from any of these programs, let alone Deion Sanders in Colorado or Jackson State and Coach T.C. Taylor or Morehouse, the house. Granted, they're not a football powerhouse, but it's still Morehouse. They still got alums like Spike Lee, Martin Luther King. Like, it's still Morehouse. So, it's Samuel L. Jackson. like this is a big deal still to a whole lot of people and their parents. So that is why you do what you do if you're Morehouse Prairie View, and that is why you do what you do if you're Coach Prime. Leave your thoughts in the comments down below. Coach Prime and the Colorado Buffalo staff is teaming up with Morehouse this time to do their second HBCU. Well, not necessarily HBCU, but second mega camp at an HBCU. Leave your thoughts in the comments down below. Leave your thoughts in the comments down below. Once again, my name is JeffLightsyJr. This is the Victory Formation Sports Show. Do me a favor, hit that thumbs up button on your way out. Also, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at JLightsy7. That is on Instagram and Twitter at JLightsy7. Thank you guys for tuning in, and I will see you next time. Peace.